Church, I wonder when we see people, what do we see? If I could be more specific, when we see the next generation, when we hear about what the next generation is up to, what do we see? If I can make Matthew 9 a little more specific, I believe Jesus is looking at the next generation right now, and he has compassion on them. Harassed and helpless, sheep without a shepherd, without a church. In case you were unaware, the next generation seems further away from the gospel than those before it. What generation are we talking about? We're talking about Gen Z. The one after that is Generation Alpha. Gen Z is from the age of 4 to 24. That's 74 million young people in the United States of America. That's 1 in 4 worldwide. Now, I want to read some statistics this morning, church, because they're not good. And I pray that it helps wake us up a little bit. 60% of Gen Z will walk away from the church. That's 35 million young people that will walk away from church. Generation Alpha, by the time they are 7 years old, will have spent 1 whole year in front of a screen. 43% of Generation Alpha will grow up without a dad. 3% of U.S. teens currently read their Bible. 3%. And you may be here today thinking and wondering, well, is this really an issue? Is this really a problem? Is Jesus really concerned? Does Jesus really look at the next generation? Does he really have compassion for them? Should this really be a priority for the church? I asked our youth pastor, Caleb Cox, this week to take a survey in our youth ministry that was anonymous, and it will remain anonymous. It was a survey that was taken in our 3 local youth ministries, Great Neck, Seaboard, and Norfolk. And we had all the young people fill out this question, and then they gave it to their CG leader. And our CG leaders didn't look at it. We just gave it to Caleb, and it remains anonymous. And these are young people that go to our church, and these are young people whose parents go to our church, and there's also young people whose parents don't go to our church. And these, I'm not going to read all of them for the sake of us not having to break out 40 boxes of tissues. And there were a lot of really encouraging responses, awesome responses. And there were also responses that I believe is important that we hear this morning. They answered this question: I wish my parents knew. These are some of the responses that were written. I wish my parents knew how much I wanted them to come to church with me. I wish my parents knew how hard it is being a Christian in public school. I wish my parents knew I get bullied at school. I wish my parents knew my anxiety and my depression is real. I wish my parents knew I thought about taking my life. I wish my parents knew I struggle to share my faith. I wish my parents knew I'm trying really hard. I wish my parents knew how much it means to me when we go to church all together as a family. I wish my parents knew I need help, but I'm so scared to tell them. And I believe Jesus looks at the next generation, church, and I believe he has compassion for them. And I believe that we have work to do. And while as a church and as a pastor, while we are not, and I am not the primary pastor in your home, because you are. You are the primary priest in your home. And we are here as a church to come alongside you and equip you and serve you and support you. While that is the case, I believe it is important as a church family that we are reminded of what we are doing as a church.